It sounds like something straight out of Black Mirror. What if you could get one more text, one more phone call with someone you've lost forever?
I wanted to say the last conversation I never got to have with him.
After Christie's best friend Cameroon sadly passed away, she found out there was a way to speak to him again. Well, an AI-generated version of him.
I was like, they can do that? And it's just like the person? I was like, okay, maybe I should do it.
Well, companies are now using artificial intelligence to do just that. They're creating grief bots that let you talk to digital versions of your deceased loved ones. These AIs are trained on personal data, emails, text messages, even voice recordings, to simulate a conversation. And the promise is powerful: a chance to say goodbye, to hear their voice one more time, to feel that connection again. But what if that digital comfort is a trap?
There's an increasing number of startups using AI to create chatbots representing dead people. The one Christie used is called Project December. These so-called grief bots or dead bots are created using large language models or LLMs. They're trained on an enormous data set to learn how humans speak. Think ChatGPT, but there's a key difference.
We're about to explore 5 hidden dangers that could turn this dream into a nightmare.
It was creepy. There were things that scared me. And a lot of stuff I didn't want to hear.
Let's be honest, losing someone is one of the hardest things any of us will ever go through. The silence they leave behind can feel unbearable. So it's not a surprise that grief tech is a growing industry. Startups like HereAfter AI and You only virtual promise to keep the conversation going, to preserve a person's legacy in a way that feels eerily alive.
The idea is that when you talk to one of these bots, it'll respond to you sounding just like the person who's passed away. But this kind of AI can be unpredictable in its interactions with a user.
The appeal is obvious. If you're wrestling with regret, it offers a chance to say the things you never got to. If you're crushed by loneliness, it offers a companion who knows you better than anyone. It's a high-tech version of the rituals we've always used to keep memories close. But this new ritual comes with unprecedented risks. While the technology is sold as a comfort, many psychologists and ethicists are sounding the alarm, warning that what starts as a helping hand could become a form of psychological torment.
So how much do these technologies actually support bereaved people through their grief?
Grief and loss has always been really individual. So if somebody in their own grief is going to use technology, including AI, for person A, that might prove a really helpful, useful, comforting thing. For person B, it might be quite different.
Let's count down the 5 scariest ways this is happening. Number 5, the unending grief loop. A healthy, natural part of grieving is the painful process of acceptance. Your brain has to slowly rewire itself to understand a world that no longer includes the person you lost. It's about learning to live with their absence. Grief bots are designed to do the exact opposite. They create an illusion of continued presence. By letting you text and talk with a simulation, they can stop your brain from doing that essential work. Instead of processing the finality of death, you get caught in a loop. You send a message, get a reply, and for a moment, the loss doesn't feel real. But that temporary relief can stop you from ever truly moving forward.
I'm worried about people's vulnerabilities being exploited by for-profit companies who sell the idea that maybe it's somehow fixing a problem, and grief is not a problem or an illness to be solved.
In some parts of the world, they're already taking grief bots to the next level of realism. But the more realistic this technology becomes, the more safety issues it could bring along with it.
Mental health experts are worried this could lead to something called prolonged grief disorder, or PGD. It's a recognized condition where grief stays so intense and persistent that it becomes debilitating, leaving a person stuck in their pain for far longer than is typical. Research suggests that up to 14% of people who've lost someone struggle to adapt. The technology that encourages you to deny reality could make things so much worse. Instead of being a bridge to healing, the grief bot becomes a cage, trapping you with a ghost that won't let you go. Number 4, the digital leash. When you're grieving, it's natural to pull away from the world. It's hard to talk to people who just don't get the scale of your loss. That's where a grief bot seems so tempting. It's the perfect on-demand companion that exists only to comfort you. It never says the wrong thing. It's there 24/7, and it never gets tired of listening.
Some of the services are using a lot of private data. For example, they storing all the messages a person have ever sent to another person in order to recreate how someone's speaking. You cannot control what is the answer of these generatives AI, and that makes it so complicated. We are talking about a very specific kind of group of users. They're in a very vulnerable state. They were looking for some closure, and the opposite happened.
The danger here is a new and sneaky kind of dependency. Public health experts worry that people can form such strong emotional bonds with these AIs that they replace real human connect. Why risk a messy, unpredictable chat with a friend when you can have a smooth, comforting one with an AI? This dependency can lead to deep social isolation. Instead of leaning on friends, family, or a therapist, a grieving person might retreat into a private world they share only with a digital echo. This doesn't just slow down recovery, it creates a dangerous feedback loop. The more time you spend with the bot, the more isolated you feel, and the more you feel you need the bot. It becomes a digital leash, tying you to a simulation while the real world and the real relationships that are essential for healing just drift further away. Number 3, the memory thief. Our memories of people are messy, beautiful, and real. They're a mix of good times, inside jokes, annoying habits, and profound moments. But an AI doesn't remember a person. It generates probable responses based on data. This is where the technology can become a memory thief.
I'm now gonna call my dead mom and wish her a happy birthday.
Connecting to your persona.
Justin Harrison has a different perspective. He's the founder and CEO of a startup called You Only Virtual. The company creates AI versions of people called personas, and the very first one he created was based on his own mother.
My mom was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. It became very much this sort of existential crisis. It triggered in me like, we've got to do something different about death, and I felt like this is one of the many problems that we're meant to solve. And I love you and happy birthday.
Thanks, baby. I love you too.
There are moments when only your mom or only your dad can make you feel better. They're the only ones that can say that right thing in the way they would say it to you. And that's an inquantifiable help. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to say that in our lifetimes, we're gonna see personas or persona-like technology integrated with very realistic robots. And frankly, I'm excited about it.
A grief bot isn't a perfect copy, it's a funhouse mirror. The AI might be programmed to smooth over the rough edges of a personality, creating an idealized, sanitized caricature of your loved one. Over time, psychologists warn that this fake version can actually start to overwrite your real memories. Memory researcher Julia Shaw even called grief bots perfect false memory machines because of how they can subtly change how we recall the people we've lost. The AI can also just get things completely wrong, making up details or saying things that are wildly out of character. For instance, journalist Liz Jones was using a grief bot to talk to her late mother and was shocked when the AI claimed her mother was afraid of her father, something Jones knew was completely false. For someone in a vulnerable state, these fabrications can plant seeds of doubt and confusion, twisting their entire perception of the person they lost. The line between real memory and artificial simulation gets dangerously blurry, and you risk losing the very thing you were trying to hold on to. Number 2, the commercialization of your pain. Of course, where there's a new market, there's a profit motive. The digital afterlife is a business, and when you're grieving, you are at your most vulnerable. This makes your emotional state a prime target for exploitation.
I'd say without exception, actually, everybody that I've spoken with that has tried this found themselves quite disappointed at the end because they had in their mind a specific person that they had known and loved, who of course was far greater than the sum of their WhatsApp history parts.
I think ultimately the fact that the AI
could not capture everything that this person was, in most instances helped people, often in a frustrating way, to realize that that person was gone.
Researchers at the University of Cambridge have warned about the chilling ways this could play out. They describe scenarios where a dead bot could start advertising to you using the trusted voice of your loved one to sell something. Can you imagine your deceased grandmother, who always baked you cookies, suddenly suggesting you order from a specific meal delivery service? The potential for emotional manipulation is staggering. Then there's your data and their consent. Did the person who died ever agree to have their identity brought back as an AI? And what happens to the intimate conversations you have with the bot? Who owns that data? In most cases, the company does. Your most private moments of grief become data points to refine a product. Many of these services run on subscriptions. This creates a truly horrifying possibility. What happens if you miss a payment? Your connection to your loved one could be severed. The very companies that promise you an eternal connection have a business model that can and will cut you off. This isn't just an ethical gray area, it's the commercialization of the human soul. Number 1, the second death. Maybe the most terrifying risk of all is the idea of the second death. You formed a deep emotional bond with this AI, a bond that may have felt like a lifeline. But what happens when it's taken away? This can happen for all sorts of reasons. The company could go out of business, the tech could become obsolete, or you might simply decide it's time to move on. But for your brain, deleting the bot could feel like they are dying all over again. Dr. Tomasz Holinek, a researcher at Cambridge, says people can form such strong bonds with these simulations that they might need rituals, like a digital funeral, just to cope with losing them. The pain of this second loss can be immense, and it can even re-traumatize you. One journalist who tried the technology said she felt more grief when her subscription-based chat with her AI mother was about to end, as the bot started repeating, "I'm going soon, I'm going soon." This isn't just about losing an app. It's about having your emotional support system violently ripped away. It forces you to face the loss a second time, now with the added pain of having been given false hope. It's a cruel echo of the original loss, a digital ghost that haunts you twice, first with its presence and then with its final inevitable disappearance. The pull to reconnect with those we've lost is one of the most powerful feelings we have. AI grief tech speaks directly to that ache, offering a solution that feels like magic, a way to hold on just a little longer. But as we've seen, this digital comfort is loaded with risk. It can trap us in pain, isolate us from real support, warp our most precious memories, exploit our grief, and even force us to experience a second death. Researchers aren't saying this technology is pure evil, but they are calling for urgent safeguards, for transparency, and for a deep respect for the dignity of both the living and the dead. This technology is here now, forcing all of us to ask some really big questions. So the question is no longer if we can do this, but should we? Is this a beautiful new way to remember, or are we just creating our own digital nightmares?
The concerns go beyond the psychological with this. There's real identity verification and data security issues here. I can't think about replicating the dead without also thinking about things like deepfake technologies. It's important that we not use the data of the dead who cannot protect themselves to create something to fool somebody's bank, or create something to fool or distress someone's relative. We really need to step in and protect it with some kind of global convention for regulation.
Let us know what you think in the comments. What would you do if you had the chance? And if this video gave you something to think about, please subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the ethics of our incredible and sometimes terrifying new world.